In the next part of this course, we are going to cover washing. In this module, we will cover start to finish how to wash a boat, the right way to do it, the steps, and the things to look out for. Now, I didn't mention this in the last part in the prep, but this is the time if you notice anything out of the ordinary that you didn't notice before, make sure to call the client and confirm with the client of anything that you see that may be out of place or something of a major concern that you think the client should know about. Always do that right now before you start washing the boat. Now, let's go ahead and talk about washing. So the first thing to note is that we are using the client's hose. Now, always be respectful and courteous to the client and ask them if you are allowed to use their hose in advance. They will almost always say yes because they do give you water access, which typically will include the hose. But if you do happen to use the hose and you break it on the job, it is your responsibility to replace the hose or the nozzle. So if you want to avoid this issue, then feel free to use your own hose, your own nozzle, and you won't have to get into this situation. So another thing to take note of is you want to avoid a black rubber hose. This will just make more work for you because as you drag that hose across the boat to wash it, you're actually going to leave streaks and black marks in the gel coat, which are going to have to scrub out later. So just something to keep in mind. It's really something you want to avoid in the boat washing and boat detailing world because it just causes a lot of issues. So try to get a plastic hose or one of those hoses that is made of a fabric material, such as the expandable and retractable hoses. Those are great for washing boats as well. And the nozzle. Now, I love to use a quality nozzle. I use a rubber nozzle with a metal tip. This allows me to attach a foam cannon if I wanted to, which I will do at times on bigger boats, but you don't have to do this. Also, if you're going to be very rough with the nozzle and you're going to toss it and you're just not going to be very careful or where you're going to drop it, go with the plastic because if you do drop a hose like this on the gel coat, you could actually crack it or you could actually leave major scratches. So if you're going to be super careful and conscious, use whatever nozzle that you think is best for you, and it really comes down to preference. So again, it's a hose, a nozzle. This is all preference, but if you want to be safe, use plastic. If you want better quality, better preference, something that lasts, because this nozzle has lasted me for a couple of years. It does have a filter on the underneath side, so just a really great nozzle that gives me a lot of options. But that's kind of that process. And now we're going to actually spray the boat down. And where people go wrong here is they don't rinse the boat long enough. So I've worked with many other detailers and they just simply don't spray the boat down long enough. So even if it takes 10 or 20 minutes, take that time to spray all the dirt and grime off as much as you can. Get it to go down the drain. And we're going to spray everything. The bow, the sea deck is actually really dirty. So we're going to want to clean that. We're going to get the windows, the arch underneath the console, all the way back to the transom. Going to get that track under the outboard, going to spray down the outboard, and we're really just going to give this thing a complete rinse down before we even get started washing. So all this comes down to being conscious, being smart, working less than you need to work, working smarter, not harder. And actually, if you keep the dirt on the boat and you just decide to wash it without giving it a good rinse, what you'll actually do is these dirt particles, you will get the hand mitt, you'll start washing the gel coat, and now you're actually going to scratch the gel coat with these particles of dirt because it could be sand, it could be salt. You don't know what is on the boat. So spray it down, get it down the drain, get it as clean as possible, and then you can go do your degreaser application and start the washing process. So do avoid that. Do avoid going straight to the hand mitt and scratching up and leaving micro scratches because at the end of the day, we are trying to provide the highest service possible and we don't want to create any future issues for our clients. So we need to do this. This is part of just being respectful, being smart, and being the best detailer that you can be by just being aware of what you're doing. So I'm going to spray the rest of the boat down, get the outboard really good, and we're actually going to split this boat into 2 steps. So the first step is the entire top side, and we're going to focus on this part first, and then when this part of the boat is completely washed, we will hop down and we'll do the hull, the underside, and the back rear transom under the rub rails. So this is our first step. It's the top side. I'm going to speed this part up because I do want to kind of move along and there's no reason to watch me spray for 5 or 6 more minutes. So let's go. I will see you in a second. Now we're filling up the bucket with Dawn dish soap, and this is a great product to use and the only time that you should use dish soap on a boat, because it is a degreaser. It will strip dirt and grime off the boat, and it will help reduce water spotting that may have built up, and it will help eliminate salt off the boat. So these are all the great reasons to use dish soap. However, this is the only time that you can use dish soap. If you're going to maintain a boat, that's the time to use a pH balanced soap. So we only use this in our pre-wash before detailing or before washing a boat, and it does an incredible job. Now we have Super Clean. This is our pure degreaser. It's a little more aggressive and concentrated than dish soap, and we're gonna spray this on the whole boat. So the non-skid, the vinyl, the bright work, the marine decking, inside the compartments and hatches. We do not spray this on the windows. You will have issues if you do that. So no windows, no isinglass, never spray degreaser on those two things. Inside these compartments, get these really good, and it's very important, and it doesn't matter what part of the country you're from. Florida, California, Ohio, New York, it is hot in the summer, and if you let this degreaser sit on the boat and dry, you're gonna have issues. So we're gonna be breaking this boat into 3 parts. We're gonna do the bow first, the cockpit area second, and the transom area third. And even though I do have a canopy above me, we have to make sure that we're still careful, because not always will you get this opportunity. So after we spray that on, you get about 3 to 5 minutes. So you have to start washing the boat right away. And if you don't get the boat washed in that amount of time, you just gotta spray with more water, because you cannot have this degreaser dry into the gel coat. You're gonna cause a lot of issues, especially if you're only waxing, you're not buffing or sanding or anything like that. So do that, make sure that is important, and keep track of that. And then we're using a Chemical Guys hand mitt, which is safe for paint or gel coat, so don't have to worry about scratching. Nice, big, thick, soft fibers. And you do have the ability to put your hand inside the mitt, so if you are leaning over the tow rail and you're at a marina or somewhere where you could possibly lose your hand mitt, just put your hand inside, and it just really comes in handy. And I know some people like to do that at all times. I just like to grab it and start washing, but that does give you different options. So we're gonna clean out the hatches really good. Some people try to get away with brushes. I always use the hand mitt, and you guys should use the hand mitt on the entire top side. Don't try to get away with the brush. Use the hand mitt, do the work to get all the dirt and the grime, and to really make sure you're not missing any spots. Don't try to get the brush into the compartments. The brush is only for the marine decking. The hand mitt is used on everything else on the top side, windows and all. We don't want to create any extra scratches than we need to. So we're letting this degreaser work in, and you can see it's just really lifting up all that dirt and just making it super easy for us to wash. So I'm gonna run through this process, and I'm actually gonna speed the video up a little bit. We're gonna finish washing this part of the boat. We're gonna wash the vinyl, which the degreaser will actually strip off a little bit of mold and mildew if it's super light. And I'm not even sure that I had to use the mold and mildew remover on this boat, because the client did take really good care of the boat. It is a 2020, and he did keep up on it himself, and he just never had that mold and mildew growth that sometimes some of these boats will get. So let's speed this up, and I'll be back on audio in a second. Out of everything we're doing in the wash process, I'm not gonna be showing me scrubbing the marine decking with the brush. So we're gonna imagine, and you guys are high-end detailers, so we're gonna imagine that you have a great imagination. So I'm gonna discuss products and what we're using. So we're gonna use the SureHold brush system, which is a yellow brush, which is the medium brush, and the SureHold telescoping 6-foot pole. We're gonna throw a degreaser, get it really good onto the marine decking, gonna let that sit and work into the marine deck for about 5 minutes, and then we're just gonna scrub it with that brush and Dawn dish soap. And it's just like washing the rest of the boat, except we're gonna be using a brush on the marine decking, and this is gonna clean off all that dirt, all that grime, all that black buildup you see on the sea deck. And that's how we're doing that. Again, SureHold system, SureHold yellow medium brush, SureHold telescoping pole. Gonna put degreaser on the marine decking, and gonna get dish soap and scrub it in, rinse it in really good. And this is actually the only time that it is okay to let the degreaser and dish soap sit on the marine decking for 5-10 minutes, because this is actually gonna pull off all that dirt, and it's gonna make it really easy to scrub and get that clean. So if you don't have a pressure washer, which we're not using on this job, this is gonna be the exact perfect way to do it. I wanted to slow down the video here and just really note the attention to detail that I'm having. I'm lifting up the ladder. I'm cleaning the hatch really good. It was a little bit moldy, a little bit of dirt and grime in the corners. Now you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you could get a little detail brush. It looks like a paintbrush almost, and you get inside those cracks and crevices really good, but I can get most of this with the hand mitt, so I didn't use it on this job. But I'm also getting underneath of the compartment hatch, so the hatch that opens and closes. Gonna clean that really good and clean all parts of the boat, right? We're not trying to miss anything, because the better we clean the boat, the better the wax is gonna stick and the longer it's gonna last. So I take about 2 hours just in prep and in washing the boat before I even touch any wax to the actual boat. So this is really important to just clean everything really thoroughly, because this does save you on the bright work, when you polish the bright work, when you clean the vinyl, put a protectant on the vinyl, and it just saves you so many steps in the future. So really focus on doing this part extremely thoroughly, and I will see you in 1 second. Just going to clean the windows with straight dish soap, no degreaser. So going to dip the bucket and just clean the windows, both sides, front and back, and reach over and go the best I can. And yeah, like I said, degreaser will damage the windows. It'll leave a lot of haziness and give you some issues. So don't use degreaser. It's not necessary on the windows. The windows can get cleaned pretty easily, so just keep it light. And you're actually going to be cleaning the windows at the end of the job, so it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, because the windows are going to get a little dirty during the wax and the bright work process. So you're going to actually come back and clean the windows separately at the end of the day. So just a little tip on the glass. Let's continue. The whole front third of the boat has been washed properly, very thoroughly. Everything, all the dirt, all the grime has been removed, and it's time to rinse the boat. So we're gonna rinse it from bow to where we ended, get all the glass and everything clean. And this is actually the only part of the whole 3 parts of the sections of the boat that I'm gonna include in this video, because there's no reason to do exactly what we did 2 more times. So you guys get the idea, the wash process. Pay attention to detail, make sure that you get all the dirt off, and take your time. Don't rush it. This again is where I see people rush, is the spraying off and rinsing off of the soap. You don't want to leave any soap or degreaser. You're going to notice the degreaser is going to be really, really bubbly, and so is the Dawn dish soap. So rinse this thing forever and get all the soap off the boat, so that when you dry it, you're not ruining your chamois and your drying towels. And again, like I said, I don't know why, but boat washers, detailers I work with, they don't rinse off the boat long enough. So again, spend 5 to 10 minutes and rinse all the soap off. Get everything down the drain in the compartments, front to back, bow, vinyl, windows, get it all, and make sure your soap is not drying on the boat. So, and then once you do all 3 sections, come back again and rewash the entire boat down, so you made sure you didn't miss nothing. Now we're gonna be applying Venom, Stark Yacht Care Venom, which is a water spot remover to the hull. So during this part of the boat, I noticed there was a lot of water spots to the outside, in terms of right above the rub rail, and then the whole hull did have some hard water spotting. So this is the perfect product to use for this. It's gonna clear up any salt and any water spots that you have in your boat if you're working in a saltwater environment. So also I wanted to mention, I did not use Stark Mildew Clean, but that is a mold and mildew remover, which can be used on the vinyl. But like I said, I did not have to use that product, but that is a product you would use. So Super Clean, Dawn dish soap, Stark Mildew Clean, and now we have Stark Venom that we're going to be using on the hull and right above the rub rail top side portion to get off the hard water spots. So I put on gloves because this product is kind of like an acid, so it can damage your hands and your skin. So definitely wear gloves when you're using Venom. And all we're going to do is we're going to refill up the bucket with soap, and I'm actually going to switch out this head to a blue brush. So the yellow brush is the medium brush, and you're gonna see the Surehold blue brush. This is a soft nylon brush. This is the only brush that you should use on gel coat, because it's super soft and it doesn't scratch. You can use the yellow brush on marine decking, and you can use the yellow brush on non-skid. The blue brush should always be used on outboards or gel coat to avoid scratching. So just gonna refill this bucket, kind of rinse everything out, get all that old degreaser and old soap out of the hand mitt, and same with the bucket. Gonna refill that up with dish soap, and then we're just gonna go through this process of washing and removing the water spots on the sides of the hull. Just remember too that you can always refill up the bucket. You can always pour out old soap, and you can always fill up with new Dawn dish soap. Dawn dish soap is pretty inexpensive, so anytime that the soap gets really dirty, you just dump it out, refill up the bucket, and you're good to go. So I definitely do this at least 2 to 3 times while I'm washing the boat, just to keep everything clean and make sure that we're not getting dirty soap all over the boat again. So just something to keep in mind, and just a good frame of reference to use when necessary. Although we won't be actually waxing the underneath side of the boat, because, and most clients understand that it's not really reasonable to actually wax underneath the boat unless you get a raft out. And most clients just, they're not really expecting that. And especially when it's on a lift, it's just not really too reasonable. So we're just gonna be washing the underneath, and then we're gonna be waxing the whole hull. So we do wanna make sure that we wash everything and make the boat look really good at the end of the day, whether we're waxing it or not. We're just gonna clean everything. Make sure we clean everything to make sure that we stand up to the expectations of the client. And this is how you apply venom. So all we do is we take a little venom, put it on our hand mitt, and we wash it in. This seems to be the best way. You don't really want to mix it into the bucket. It's just not really effective that way. So just get some soap, pour a little bit of venom. It doesn't have to be much on the hand mitt. And this is the best way to really take those water spots out and really give it like that perfect concentration for where you're not wasting product, but it's also effective as you're doing it. So find this to be the best way. And of course, if you don't have a wraparound dock, or you're in a situation where you have to use a brush, that is okay too. Just do pour a little bit of that water out of the bucket so that you can get it more concentrated and the product can actually work a little bit more effectively. And you're gonna see me do this on the underneath of the boat when we get to that part. So if you don't have the luxury of a wraparound dock, that is how you would do that. And we're just gonna continue all the way through the boat. So I am gonna increase the speed a little bit of this section, and you can just kind of watch me work this into the boat. And then once that's worked in, again, this is something that you don't want to let dry in the sun because it will cause issues. So again, you get about a good 5 minutes. Let the acid really work in, take out those water spots, wash the boat really thoroughly, and then rinse the boat off. We made it to the underneath part, so I'm pouring some venom into the bucket because that's the only way we can do the underneath, as we discussed earlier. And we're just gonna give it a good scrub, get any dirt, anything that's under the boat off. And he does keep it lifted, so we don't have anything in terms of water stain buildup, which is super nice. It's just an easy wash with dish soap and a little bit of venom, and we're all set. Although I don't have any water stains, heavy metal buildup, or anything like that on the boat, we still are going to discuss this. And I did have a little spot on the back, which if you saw me earlier, I was scrubbing a little extra with the hand mitt right on the transom below that rub rail, right where that metal tag is. There was a little section of rust stain buildup, and I got that off with the venom. So venom not only takes off water spots, but venom will actually take off very light water stains. Now, if you have aggressive extreme water stains, you're gonna have to jump to another product, and that product is gonna be Easy On, Easy Off by Starbright. So that is a 100% safe product to use on your gel coat. You don't have to worry about it doing damage because it is diluted to the right degree, made for boats specifically. So sometimes detailers like to go with a super cheap option such as Rust Aid or something like that, but that is not specifically designed for boats. So if you don't have experience, I would not recommend that you use that product. And if you're going to, just make sure again that you're not letting any of these products sit for over 5 minutes. So on and off is a little more expensive, but it is safer for marine application because it was formulated for that purpose. So if you do run into this situation, this boat does not have that situation, and if venom does not work, that is a product you use. And all you have to do is get a rag or get a brush and apply it with a brush, let it sit on there and let it dissolve, because that rust product, whether it's Easy On, Easy Off, or Rust Aid, it's gonna sit, it's gonna work into the rust, and it's gonna pull it out of the gel coat. So for that product, you don't have to do any scrubbing. You actually just apply it to the surface, and that product does the work itself. It pulls out the heavy metal stains. So if you run into that situation, this is kind of how you go about that. So just wanted to touch on that in case you are in that situation, because there definitely will be a time when you have a wash and wax that will need that application process. Let's speed up this section of the video, and we're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side, Just watch carefully and pick up some tips and tricks along the way. As we work to the back of the boat, I just want to mention a couple things. Number one, the transom gets the most sunlight, so don't skip this part, even if you have to reach over the back like I did to wax it. If you had to, you could throw a swim raft down, such as a solstice, get some ratchet straps and set yourself up good. We didn't have to do that for this job, but just make sure that you don't miss that, because that will oxidize the fastest, and eventually you're gonna have to buff it out if you don't take good care of it, and things are gonna get out of hand. So keep that protected and make sure you really do clean the underneath really good, because that's another part that's quick to go. So just really making sure we're keeping everything clean, free of dirt, free of grime, is gonna reduce the heat and therefore reduce oxidation. So we're just gonna continue with this venom, the same exact process we did on the other side. We're gonna wash the hull, gonna wash the back part of the transom, gonna wash right above the rub rail with venom. Venom was super effective on this job, and it worked exactly how we needed it to work. And guys, we're going to speed up this video, and we're going to be jumping into the next module.